Welcome Denis Vidmar to the Future of Foods interviews. You are the Mushroom Man. You are founder of the Mushroom Hub, which is based in America. Whereabouts in America is it? Is it Michigan?
I'm currently sitting in the Mushroom Hub in Detroit, Michigan, Midtown Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Mushroom Hub is, please?
We're an everything fungi boutique, educating and celebrating the power of mushrooms and the magical kingdom of fungi. We believe the mushrooms are the solution to every problem man has. And so once we start adding them to every meal, we begin to understand the value that they provide.
Wow. So I mean that's quite a claim. You think they are the solution to everything. Why is that? 100%. Can you put a little bit of kind of mushroom on the bones for us?
For every problem that we're dealing with today, man is the cause of that problem. So fix man and we'll fix the future. So okay. I strongly believe that with the movement where it is today, I think that over the next decade, this is the decade of mushrooms, the era of fungi. And this is the time where we're going to understand the value and the relationship that actually we had with fungi for so many centuries ago, that it's pretty powerful now to re-engage with it. And when we do that, the world will be better.
So you think in the past we had a better relationship with fungi than we do now?
100%.
Yeah.
Asian cultures have been documented, thousands of years. You have Iceman Otzi, 5,000 plus years, right? Each of these, and we're finding evidence in further historical data that showcases the power of mushrooms in relationship to societies, whether it's the magic mushroom or the culinary.
Yeah. It's funny. I was kind of thinking, when you read fairy tales from, kind of Grimm's brothers and that sort of thing, it's always got some mushrooms in there, either in the pictures or in the stories. It played a big part in kind of medieval storytelling. I get the impression. I mean, do you know anything about
Claus?
I'm sorry, and Santa Claus
and Santa Claus, right? With Amanita muscaria, right? So and now more and more people are intertwined, and more thanks to social media like Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn or whichever other media platform you're part of, the mushroom conversation is real, and people are diving into the rabbit hole. And the more experiences that you're having with mushrooms, the deeper you go. The fascination is endless, right? Because we still don't know so much. Like we're when they talk about a peak in mushrooms, you're like, where do I look? Because we are making claims. A lot of us are making claims, and I'm just saying, wow, like how do we know? We only have documented around 150,000 fungi on a deeper level, and we're finding every day more, right? That's the beauty of foraging, right? Yeah. Every time you enter that forest, there's an opportunity for you to find a fungi that has never seen before, never been entertained before, right? Yeah. And so, is it millions? Is it billions? Like there are spores in certain, So I find this to be a very exciting decade. I've been in mushrooms all my life, and so to see that people are getting the appreciation, when I make that claim on the solution, I hear people's stories. I've heard, the world has now heard of, fantastic fungi, the amazing story of Paul Stamets' mother and turkey tail mushrooms. The world is starting to bite at that, but, turkey tails have been utilized in Asian cultures for thousands of years.
So what are turkey tails? I haven't heard that story either. What's that?
Turkey tail mushrooms, it's as if our planet, it is the one mushroom that grows in the wild on every continent. We still haven't found it in Antarctica, maybe one day. But it is the one mushroom, is the planet is, Mother Earth is telling us, consume me. right? Because in any background, in my father-in-law's and mother-in-law's house, they had a big tree in the back. They cut it, and and so she's drinking turkey tail tea, because we forage for turkey tails, and then we showcase to people how to utilize it in the more traditional manner, which is make tea, right? And so I'm bringing her a bag of turkey tails. Then I go outside. We're preparing a barbecue. And it's like the stump is like full of turkey tails. I was like, it's just incredible that this is a fungi that is easily available to the whole community, global community, and only a fraction of us are utilizing the power of it, right? And it's an incredible medicinal compound that heal people from, people who are going through chemotherapy should be utilizing turkey tail mushrooms. But that's a medicinal story, which a lot of people who are going on the medicinal front of research and development, can broaden. They're broadening now what Japanese have been doing. What the West is talking about now, is like centuries of Asian culture, right? It's just we're just not catching on. Everybody says, mushrooms are getting their highlight. No, mushrooms have always given us our highlight. We saw that in the first 3 months of COVID, right?
Why? What happened in the first few months of COVID? Was it a big thing in the Far East then?
No, the big thing about the first 3 months of shutdowns of COVID globally, it showcased to us the power of our planet and how Mother Earth can regenerate with the power of the mycelium network beneath our feet, right? We are the walking fungi. Every time we take a walk outside in the forest, we are the pulse emanating and connecting with the mycelium network. We're the only product in your grocery aisle that we have the most in common with is mushrooms.
It's more human than it is plant, isn't it? Yes, I've.
It's the omnivore of the food chain, right? It's the best of both worlds, right? When people start to add more mushrooms to their menu, they start to get results for it. I always talk about a local community of my shroomsters here, of the mushroom hub. So people who are regulars, we call them shroomsters. And our number one top sold product is our 2-pound shroomster box. Right, and we talk to people on what to do with 6-7 varieties of mushrooms that they devour within 7 days. Now, I have people which have been buying from me for over a decade now, that they are buying now 5 pounds a week because they feel better, right? They are sleeping better. They have more energy. They're more focused. They're more clear. I have this one lady, she walks through the door. She buys a lot of lion's mane from us. Then when she's in the store, we don't have to talk. She does the sales for us, because she tells the people how it helped her be better.
Okay.
That's marvelous stories.
I wanted to talk to you about lion's mane, actually. I mean, I have my niece, she has, her daughter has Batten's disease. And I mentioned to her the idea of using mushrooms for kind of mental, kind of synaptic kind of restoration, and that it might be useful to her. And she was saying that she has tried to get some online, and I said, well, the stuff you get online is usually such a small percentage that it actually won't really help much. It's just like a money-making powder thing. So I wanted to get your view on that. What's how good is it, and what sort of quantities would somebody need to take for it to actually be useful?
The daily is between 250 to 500 milligrams, I believe. And that's, people need to, if you're gonna, all these products in the market, we carry a few companies, 4, 5, 6 companies on our menu in regards to them. Some are mycelium based, some are full spectrum based, some are fruiting body based, right? We are all different. We all come from different environments, and we're all able to have a different relationship with the style of input of mushrooms, right? I eat, 4 or 5 pounds of mushrooms a week. That to me is standard. My regular meal is mushrooms, vegetables, and fruits, right? I'm a fungivore, right? I believe mushrooms should be the staple of every dinner. And, on our menu, we have upwards of 55 varieties of mushrooms. Well, every single day you can have a different mushroom added to your meal, which will additionally give you that other benefit. Now, for your friend, for her, it could be different. I always say start slow, be consistent, take it at the exact same time. When you're doing something for the purposes of healing a specific issue, meditation and self-talk is as equally important as what you intake. And so I would do it at the exact same time, be thankful for doing it, and make sure that you are devoted in doing so. Right? I have people who have spent hundreds of dollars on different supplements from our store, or especially I get more upset when they buy like a pound of drying turkey tails, and then 6 months down the line I find out that they didn't touch it. And that to me is a waste of nature. Right? I've offered to buy back multiple times, because when you're diving into, our food system is broken. It is pushed by the select few. It is meant to destroy us rather to embrace what we actually are, spiritual, connected to energy beings, right? And so I find that, we need to set time. There should be no food budgets. We should be more protected in food aisles. But in addition to that, when we spend the time with us, that is the time that is sacred, right? So I think, and I mean, we're far off the topic of where you started with the question, but I think it comes down to that. It's a dedicational format. She should do whatever she decides to do. She should be consistent in it. She should give it a try. If she's trying a company that says it has 30 doses or 50 doses, utilize that 30 doses every single day at the exact same time. If you find that you're getting a rush or you're not feeling good, then separate it, give it a day in advance, and do it every other day at the exact same time.
And so the 250 sort of milligrams that you said, is that that's pure lion's mane mushroom? That's not the kind of 10% proof stuff, is it? That's kind of pure lion's mane. Yeah. Well,
I mean, when you're putting so you want the pure, right? You don't like there's certain companies which we'll never have on our menu, right? Because I want to feel good about when you walk out of when you come here and you invest in yourself. I want to make sure that you're getting the best of the best for you. Now, certain things are not going to work with somebody, but certain things are going to work with somebody else, right? I have somebody that cannot handle fresh maitake mushrooms when they cook them at home, right? But they love shiitakes. They love oysters, right? We're all different, right? So I don't think that it's a one-stop shop if it's something as rigorous as what you're telling me that she's suffering, right? Again, I've never heard of that disease, so I'm not sure of the particulars. But if you're trying to do anything on the enhancement of brain and neuron, mushrooms are it.
And so what's the difference? I mean, I've never heard of turkey tails before. I've heard of quite a few of the mushrooms. Is that along the line of kind of psilocybin, or is that something else?
These are functional medicinal fungi that are available in different formats. We offer them in dried, which are foraged either in New Brunswick, Ontario, or Michigan. We also have the powders provided by multiple companies. We have other companies which have put them in coffees. We have other teas. We've got, it's primarily everything with turkey tail we don't have any, actually one of our products has turkey tail in a pill format.
Okay.
So sometimes these companies will do, the ultimate 10 or the ultimate 5 or the ultimate 7 or 22 for that matter. And then they'll combine all these different mushrooms that they're going to stack up. And so you're not getting a full intake of a single variety, but you're getting multiple varieties in minuscule format. Okay.
So, so Denis, how did you get interested in mushrooms? How did you get into this world?
My dad is in mushrooms, so I started on a mushroom. I started my family's mushroom farm close to 2 decades ago, and expanded into once once I introduced myself to the wild and the gourmet and the exotic, you know, they just took me in, and so ever since then, I'm fascinated with them. I'm appreciative of them. I believe that we are where we are today thanks to them. But you know, going back to what we discussed earlier, in the first 3 months of COVID, when the world shut down, you know, like that was wow. The Mother Earth told us that all we have to do is stop or slow down. You know, why, you know, there's the consumerism aspect has grown overboard. Luckily, there's fungi that eat plastic, so we're going to see where that goes, right?
Yeah. I mean, has that actually been confirmed that that happens, or is it, or is this?
Yeah, it's in China. There's a whole
stage?
report on it. Yeah, there's a whole report on it. I mean, you can definitely, you know, it's out there on Google Land. So, you know, there's so many cool things happening. You know, from you know, when I got introduced to Ecovative, that was a decade ago or so when they started. You know, the moment that I saw their packaging, in my mind, I was like, how can I combine this as quickly as possible into whatever I'm planning on doing and whatever develops in my mission.
Ecovada, did you say? Ecovative.
Ecovative.
Yeah,
so Ecovative. So now the company has moved that onto mushroom packaging company, and so they do, you know, I mean, to the point where there were talks about, and I don't know where that is now, but talks of IKEA and Dell Computer switching all their packaging to mycelium-based packaging by 25, or maybe with COVID, maybe 30, I don't know. But you know, just incredible technology, right? Right here in the corner, that is by Studio Cartier out of Amsterdam, first edition of mycelium-based painting. You know, art form, painting by mycelium, right? Okay. You know, it's
I mean, it's not a painting by mycelium. It's just kind of it's just
mycelium
that has grown into a into a form, right? Okay.
Yeah. So when we opened up the hub in Detroit, you know, we wanted something. We added like a special touch to it, and so it was really cool when I saw what these guys were doing, and I was very thankful to be able to acquire one for the store.
Yeah. Have you tried, because clearly you grow your own mushrooms there, so have you tried kind of crossbreeding any mushroom types?
No, that's not. I've never personally done that myself. I've never worked in the laboratory. I've never worked with sports directly, other than applying sports to a medium.
Yeah. Because apparently it's very, very difficult. I was speaking to a professor last week or the week before, who is a professor of fungi, I suppose. But he was saying that they've come up with a technique of kind of crossbreeding fungi, which makes the you know, the kind of opportunities of discovering something even more bizarre, you know, quite likely, because you get your kind of mutant, you know, kind of childlings of mushrooms. Who knows what they'll be capable of, you know.
Hopefully, it doesn't end up like The Last of Us. You know, so.
Well, I've got to see this. I have to see this film. I've heard a lot of people mention it to me, and I haven't seen it.
I didn't. It's I think it's on Showtime or HBO. I'm not really sure what it's called nowadays, but I didn't even know about it until people started coming to the store, and that week we sold out of cordyceps. After, you know, they're like, we're here for the mushrooms that can kill us. I was like, what are you talking about? You know, this whole. So it was a good couple of days of just being a little bit confused by and it was a set group of people that just started coming through the store, and every product that we had in cordyceps, it left our shelf.
And can they kill you then, those mushrooms?
They can kill. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not the person to ask that.
Okay.
Definitely not. I do understand its benefits when used accordingly. You know, a lot of people who are in the gym, who lift weights, who do a lot of any athletic component, should be utilizing cordyceps. I mean, cordyceps have even made it to the Olympics, to the Olympics. So that's how a lot of the Western world, I think, heard about them for the first time, potentially because of what happened in the Olympics.
So cordyceps, how do you spell that?
Cordyceps.
Okay. Well, when I was in France, we used to pick ceps. I suppose
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's a whole particular different mushroom, but a super delicious one.
Yeah. 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 They have more of a kind of meaty texture to them. They're
14 grams of protein per 100 grams of serving, sir.
yeah. Wow.
That's one of the dried products that we have on our shelf. Great
Okay.
product, including obviously vitamin D and all the other nutrients.
Okay. And do you sell the so you sell the spores as well, do you?
No, we sell here specifically on the culinary component. We do sell grow bags, so people can buy a fruiting bag and take it home and grow out the product,
Okay.
depending on the varieties. But we're primarily on the food, so we, you know, about 80% of our sales are fresh mushrooms. So in those fresh mushrooms, we're showcasing to people what they can do with them. And then we have a line of our fungi-based foods powered by plants, which showcases to people what they can do with that food as well. So if you don't know how to make the chili, well, try our chili and, you know, utilize it and go home and enjoy it, right?
Okay.
A lot of people are, the educational front of where we are today, you know, we're going to have to, every mushroom company will have to invest strategically into marketing on the educational component of mushrooms. It's great, you know, we don't promote the mushroom hub. We promote mushrooms. You know, I consider our store, you know, the McDonald's of mushrooms one day, and we will be educating anybody that is interested in changing their ways. You know, and one day we will become magical too, where you will be going to the second floor and, you know, have a guided session in relationship to therapeutic food.
Yeah.
Right? As the world comes about and realizes that, you know, we need to reconnect to truly understand that a better world out there doesn't mean a world without, you know, it's a world without greed, you know, and
World without greed. Imagine such a thing. I think that's going to be a hard sell, to be honest.
It's not about a hard sell. It's about an opportunity to provide a pathway, a journey that will all get us there. We all get balanced, right? Some take a couple of paths, but some, you know, there's more to where we are, and I think that's what we're seeing. COVID has gotten a lot of people to wake up, and in that, you know. Figure this, that in the province of Ontario in Canada, right? So they have the poison control for when you're going out in the wild and you're diving into either foraging for mushroom or foraging for wild plants and fruits, right? So the spike of people that called in the poison control tripled during the first year of COVID, only because the majority of those were looking for magic mushrooms in the foothills of Toronto and up in north of Toronto towards Kingston, Ottawa area, right? And so when you look at that, and then I hear people, you know, we get a chance to listen to people's stories and how their lives relate to what fungi do for them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's beautiful to see that awakening. That's why for me, you know, all this, everything that's happening in the world, these distractions that are happening continuously, right? And there have been more distractions in the last 3 years than there have been in years prior, right? It's like we're bombarded, and I think the reason why we're bombarded is because, you know, the select few that control our narrative is understanding that the people are starting to reconnect to what we're actually about. You know, there is a potential of a beautiful future, and I believe that begins with mushrooms.
Well, I mean, I agree with you to a large degree. I suppose they tried they tried something similar with LSD in the 1970s, didn't they? Was it the kind of Brotherhood of Eternal Sunshine or something in Las Vegas? No, in somewhere around there anyway. You know, they wanted to. Yes, yeah. So it's a similar idea. I mean, imagine if you went to a Trump rally and you spiked everyone's drink with magic, you know, or everyone's soup, I suppose, with magic mushrooms. Imagine it would be. I mean, that would perhaps begin an epidemic of sense. Who knows?
And I don't agree with that. I don't believe in the direct legalization of any fungi containing psilocybin, right? There's 200 plus strains of fungi that contain it. And again, who knows if we're going to find another strain in the coming days, weeks, months, years, right? And further. I think that, you know, this whole free-for-all idea, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the way the cannabis is handled in multiple states that I've consumed it, right? I believe that the educational component is such a crucial part of utilizing any medicine that comes from Mother Earth. And so when we just push it out there in free-for-all components, you know, I find that we need to reconnect with the origin, which is the actual mushroom itself. And that goes same with culinary mushrooms. You know, you eating 2, 3, 4 pounds of mushrooms a week is better for you. It's good for you because it doesn't just come in from the healing of the inside, but comes from the healing of the outside as well. You know, we need to take back our kitchens. Food should not be a button away in 17 seconds. You know, food should be an experience. Absolutely. And it's you know, when you know, that's I appreciate the holidays because people then, it's holidays is when I go fishing. Okay, so during the holidays we are trying to do something so special, create such a special experience that January, February, March, and all the months forward, families come back to us and say, we want that, right? That feeling at that time and that taste profile, which next day I didn't feel bad. I had a good night's sleep, right? And it doesn't happen. It's not a one-shot pill, right? That doesn't happen. Oh, I ate mushrooms today. I'm great. That's why when I see people taking a mushroom lion's mane for the first time, they're like, oh, I feel a difference. Not really, right? It takes time. Right? Yeah. And so, you know, I didn't start overnight eating 3 pounds of mushrooms. It took a while for me to get, and you know, it's truly an investment component into making sure that your refrigerator is your medicine cabinet. We are what we eat, and that is such a we're not taught that. You know, we're taught.
So do you think, and so do you think mushrooms are going to play a more significant role in the future? Then, in the next decade, you were saying that it's going to be the kind of decade of fungi. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think that as people begin, my experience with mushrooms and mushroomsters is that the more and I posted about this on LinkedIn, you know, the concept of as they begin to add mushrooms to their meals, whether it's once every other day, once a week, whatever it is, if it's consistently at that point, the mushroom consumption increases. And that is based on just numerical data of people walking through our stores, right? And so I think that if we doubled the mushroom production today globally, we still wouldn't have enough mushrooms for how much mushrooms we're going to need. So, for example, today I was thinking earlier today, I'm working on a project where I'm like, one day in the near future, United States alone will produce over 300 million pounds of lion's mane a week. That is coming. That will happen. And I kind of think it's going to happen sooner than later. You know, the technologies that are coming in, you know, I'm for some technologies, I'm for others, but, you know, to each their own. but I see a huge transformation of even small farms. Like in where I'm sitting right now, there are at least 7 small-time growers, each growing 50 to 150, 200 pounds a week, right? For their communities. That's a beautiful thing. That's not part of the data for mushroom, for specific mushroom data that comes out, because nobody's paying attention to them, right? Okay. Because they're growing their lettuce, their tomato, their whatever other on the greenhouse side, and then on the side they have 50, 100 grow bags that are going, and that goes part of their CSA program, right? I think that the world is coming where mushrooms will be 50%. When you look at the pyramid, it will have first 5 different types of mushrooms that we're going to by that time prove that should be part of our daily diets, and then they'll be playing darts with other parts going down the line.
Especially if there's I saw a demonstration a few days ago, kind of mycelium that's been grown in such a way that it has the same texture and consistency of meat. So as soon as they add the flavor of meat to it, it will pretty much be meat. And so if that takes off, if it tastes like meat, it feels like meat, it smells like meat, then of course that's going to create a huge demand for that sort of mushroom, isn't it? Or that sort of mycelium.
Mushrooms are Earth's original meat, right? First came mushrooms, then came everything else, right? So if we go into the wild and I can pick 5, 6, 7 varieties of mushrooms and prepare them for you, and you're going to consume that food, and you're not going to once think about any meat other than saying, this is really good, and I kind of feel like I just ate a steak, or I kind of feel like I just had lobster, or I kind of feel like I just had veal or chicken.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a product right now that is right now where we are standing, right, that's available, right? Chicken of the Woods just finished up a couple of weeks ago. Chicken of the Woods is a mushroom that tastes exactly like chicken, that it is a incredibly delicious and nutritious mushroom loaded in vitamin D, right? It is Earth's original meat, right? When I make our lobster bisque, our fungi-based foods powered by plants, our lobster bisque, when you eat it, you will be thinking that you're eating a lobster bisque. It's not and people have, we did an event back in 2019, just pre-COVID, at Caesars Casino in Windsor, Ontario. And all night people came out and said, can we have more chicken? Can we have more chicken? And we're like, yeah, no problem. So at the end of that, they're like, oh my God, that's the best chicken ever. What did you do with it? It's like, well, number one, that's a mushroom. It's called Nebrodini bianco.
What is it?
Sorry?
It's called what? Is this the chicken of the woods?
No, chicken of the woods is a wild mushroom that we forage during the season here, where we're particularly, it's June to end of October. But Nebrodini bianco is an incredible mushroom, also known as abalone in Europe. Comes originally from Sicily. Locally here in North America, it was grown by Gourmet Mushrooms, Mycopia, out of Sebastopol, California, and Scottsville, Michigan. Incredible mushroom, sadly not currently in production with them, but it's a mushroom that I have a list of people that cannot wait to grill again. Because when you have a product that takes your mind off of it, we're not, nobody that eats meat, what the marketing campaign of the meat industry has done really, really well is that they have separated the meat component from what actually happens to get that meat in the meat aspect. Right?
Yes, indeed.
And so when we think of meat, we don't think of slaughter, we don't think of stress, we don't think of any of those components, which if we watched on TV, we would say, if you had a steak right next to after that whole process, watching it, you would not have that steak. There's exactly a very small portion of people that would, right? And so, so to me, it's like, well, hold on a second, right? Let's not talk about eating meat. Let's just give people a texture profile that if they close their eyes and took a bite, Would they
Yeah.
think lobster? Or would they just think delicious?
Mm.
Because the lobster should be taken over by the delicious, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
shouldn't be thinking about the lobster. We should be thinking about the delicious, right? And the nutritious component should be coming as an accountability factor of the product to assure that anybody that consumes it is better off for it. And that's why mushrooms, a lot of companies on the market today are taking such a healthy product and they're slapping it with sugar and so many other crap on it. And I'm like, why are you taking such a healthy product, such a healthy ingredient that you can do so much with natural products? Yes, it's going to cost more, but educate people why you do what you do. It's okay. People have told me multiple times, Dennis, I'm okay to pay $10 more as long as I know that what I'm getting for that $10 makes me better.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're not giving people the opportunity to give us that opportunity,
Yes. So if you meet somebody and you get along with them very well, and then they tell you that they don't like mushrooms, what's your response to them?
They haven't found the right mushroom yet. That's first response. Second response, I'm appreciative when somebody tells me, mushrooms don't sit well with me, or I had a allergic reaction to a mushroom when I was young. To that, I'm always asking, did you by chance open up a sliced white mushroom that says triple wash on it and you had a bite without washing it first? That's my first go-to when it comes to, I had an allergic reaction. Right, because on that sliced triple wash mushroom, which is one of the top selling mushrooms on the market, there's 18 to 21 different chemicals applied to it to do what it needs to do, right? And so you want to be cautious of that, right? But I'm not. What bugs me is when people tell me I hate mushrooms. That's the one that sort of I feel a dagger kind of in heart because we should all be extremely appreciative. Whether we love mushrooms or hate mushrooms, we all must respect mushrooms. We must respect the kingdom of fungi, because you have mushrooms like, when somebody tells me, I hate mushrooms, and I see that they're really aggressive towards it, like proud hate mushrooms. There's a few of them out there.
There are a few. I've met some.
Yeah, and I would always say, okay, so I'm just curious, in your whole family, has anybody had an organ transplant? Like, yeah, my aunt. It's like, do you love your aunt? Oh yeah, of course I love my aunt. Thanks to the organ. No, thanks to mushrooms. Dolichocladium inflatum has a compound in it which allows the body to not reject a foreign organ, right? When we look at how mushrooms are utilized in medicine today, you're looking at a very large percentage that comes out of mushrooms, right? From penicillin to name a few, right?
Well, also in kind of regular food that people eat, right? In the kind of blue cheese that they're eating, and the soy sauce that they're putting on their Chinese food, and the wine and the beer and everything else. It's all
the list goes on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They are truly a miraculous component of our life, and once people start to understand how connected we are, you can then begin to have the right recourse, right? The discourse towards it. So for me, it's like, let's get into high schools and teach. Let's get those minds thinking about, putting substrate together and growing their own product. But let's educate them the way that it should be. Like, for example, today we have a number of companies who are selling oyster kits to people's homes, right? You told me that recently that you did a kit, correct, for lion's mane?
No, I haven't done a kit for lion's mane. No, I have grown mushrooms before, but not from a kit, from the spores.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So these mushroom kits, right? For example, the oyster ones. Very few companies, and I mean on one hand few, actually educate people on what to do with that product once they bring it home. So a lot of families, what they'll do with 2 kids and a dog or a cat, will place it right on a nice white or whatever color plate, and they'll drill a hole. They'll start pumping away, and eventually mushrooms will fruit out. Right, the product is always next to a window, right, for natural sunlight. So spores are everywhere, right? Your mushrooms grow so quickly, they sometimes double in size in 24 hours, right? And if you're not picking her at the right time, she is going to spoil it. And that means thousands and millions, and particularly, I had a person that forgot a puffball in their garage. Billions of spores spread through the environment. So if you have kids, and if you have a dog and a cat, and you personally, you're breathing that in, right? And there's a study that came out of Poland where it showcases that people had, they can kill you, right? Spores will kill you. I have a gentleman, which I know, which was a mushroom farmer, always kept bringing his dog into the fruiting chamber, right? It wasn't ventilated correctly. The dog died, right? It's a dangerous, we need to be very cautious about the products that we allow in the market today. And we need to be a little bit more, vocal in regards to saying, hey, we understand that you're trying to make money, but this is not the right way to do it, because all you're doing is hurting me, who's going to stay in mushrooms for the rest of my life, potentially hand it over to my kid, right? It hurts us in the long run, because we're going to have to invest more money into re-educating the people that you have now, unfortunately, hurt.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting. I didn't realize.
2 years ago, right?
I didn't realize the dangers of mushroom spores. That's quite.
Oysters particularly.
Oysters are the worst, are they? Really?
Oh my goodness, and that's the number one selling, grow kit, because any person in any environment could grow. Oysters are just, they're incredible mushrooms. If you've never tasted them, you should. If you've never read about the power of what they do for the environment, you should look at what Paul Stamets did in the 90s with them, right? It's just incredible, right? But this mushroom also lets out millions and millions of spores. There's actually on our Instagram page, The Mush Hub, if you scroll all the way down, there's a picture of how I left when when this all came big during COVID. Everybody wanted to grow everything, right? And so all these people started telling me, left, right, up and down, oh, I bought this kit. And I was like, hey, man, I know you got a 10-month-old at home, you shouldn't be putting that where she's going to be, not cool, right? And so I actually took one of our grow blocks from the fruiting room, and I put it right on top of all of our shelves in the store, and I took a picture of it the next day. Right, so I put it out at 6 o'clock at night, and I took a picture of it at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you can see when I removed it, all white around. Right,
yeah.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so yes, grow mushrooms at home, but take the time to make yourself a small chamber. Mela did a small chamber. I haven't tried it. Tony from Fresh Cap, there's a YouTube clip where Tony from Fresh Cap does Mela. He tries to grow mushrooms inside of it. I haven't gone through all the videos, so I don't know how effective it was. But there's a few out there now coming with their grow kits. The Surely Grow Kit, definitely. I'm not really sure if anybody. I don't know how the reviews are on that, but I don't see how that's possible what they're promising. But you can build it yourself. Go to Home Depot. Yeah. It's a great project for your kids.
Well, that was going to be my last question. I was just going to say, what would you recommend to people who wanted to grow their own? Either for food or for mental health.
Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot. I particularly I didn't start off in psychedelics. A lot of the mushroom guys today, they all started growing magic mushrooms at home and then developed into the gourmet. I came from the agaricus side, right? So I tried my first magic mushroom in my 20s, late 20s, right? So I wasn't part of that component, but I would tell people, there are companies out there that can teach you on the magic mushroom front. That's not something that we do. But for your regular gourmet mushroom that you're gonna buy off of Amazon, you should just go to Home Depot and build yourself actually just buy a plastic, a large plastic box and 3 components to it, and you can grow your own mushrooms in a very safe environment.
What about lion's mane? What about lion's mane? Is that quite easy to grow? What's the process?
I would always go for a fruiting block, right? Don't go through the process of buying spores, buying pressure cookers, and don't complicate yourself. focus on growing it from somebody that's already doing it. So
Okay.
buy the bag that's already, the substrate's in, it's a fruiting bag. It promises that you're going to have mushrooms, you know, depending on where it is on the pinning side, whether it's going to be, you know, 15, 22, 10 days, depending on the variety, right? But you can build these little chambers that, you know, all you have to do is consistently keep the environment, and you're good to go. And don't do it in your basement. Don't do it in your basement and, you know, underneath your what do you call it, staircase. Like, do it in the garage next to a window where you can utilize the window to bring in fresh air and take out, you know, CO2, right? You don't want that entering your house, nor do you want the spores to come out, right?
No.
And don't put that exhaust fan next to the intake fan for your HVAC. Make sure it's on the opposite side too. There's little, you know, this is, you know, the internet is incredible. There's so many mushroom books out there that can help you create this very big project into a small, you know, 5x5 kind of thing that it's really fun for kids. It's going to be amazing. I can't, my kid is 16 months old. And so I cannot wait for the day that I can slap a very good, you know, mask on him, that he can start to experience the components of working with mushrooms.
Yes, well, very interesting. And I'm sure we'll chat again about this. It's a particularly interesting subject of mine. So thank you for coming on to Future of Foods, Denis. And I wish you all the best for the Mushroom Hub. And I share your optimism for the future of fungi.
Thank you. I hope that one day in the near future we'll be able to share a meal. You'll let me cook some mushrooms for you.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great. I'll have to. It's a long way to travel, but for, you know, like, you know, for a mushroom risotto. But I will.
Mushrooms will find a way.
I hope that will happen. Yes. All right. Thanks very much. Bye for now.
Have a great day. Thank you, Alex.